You know the boxer, right? That goofy, muscular, and super loyal family dog. Well, behind that face you know and love is this incredible, dramatic story. We're talking medieval hunts, two devastating world wars, and one woman's absolutely heart-wrenching sacrifice that changed the breed forever. And it all leads to a dog that many people think is, well, pretty much perfect.
So let me introduce you to Champion Bang Away of Syrah Crest. I mean, just look at him. To people who love dog shows, especially back in the day, he was the dog, the picture of perfection. He's the one who really defined what an American boxer should be. Elegant, powerful, just captivating.
And Bang Away wasn't just a pretty face, not by a long shot. Back in the 1950s, he became the first dog of any breed, mind you, to win over 100 Best in Show awards. That's just staggering. He set a standard that was practically untouchable for decades.
So, the big question is, how do you get from a rough and tumble German hunting dog to this guy, this polished show ring superstar? To figure that out, we've got to jump in a time machine and go way back to the forests of Germany long before dog shows were even a thing. Right, so the boxer story, it doesn't start on some fancy red carpet. Nope, it begins on the tough, gritty hunting grounds of medieval Germany, with a dog that was bred for one seriously dangerous job.
The boxer's direct ancestor was this formidable dog called the Bullenbeißer. The name literally translates to bull biter. And these dogs were specialists. Their whole job was to chase down huge, dangerous animals. We're talking wild boar. And just hold them tight until the hunter could get there and finish the job. And this is what's so incredible. Every single feature we recognize in a boxer today had a brutal, practical purpose. That famous undershot jaw, that wasn't for looks. It was a vice grip for locking onto prey. Those adorable facial wrinkles, they were gutters to channel blood away from the eyes. That pushed-back nose, it let the dog breathe while its mouth was full. Even the beautiful brindle coat was camouflage. This dog was a perfectly engineered hunting machine. Okay, so fast forward to the late 1800s and things start to change. The Bullenbeißer gets crossed with English bulldogs, and that's where those cool white markings come from. Then, in 1895, the very first boxer club is founded in Munich. And pretty soon, the breed's resume starts to change from hunter to police dog, guard dog, and, eventually, family companion. And this is where our story really zooms in on one person, Friederike von Stockmann. She was an artist and a breeder who started the famous Vom Damme kennel. And honestly, she might be the single most important person in the boxer's entire story of survival and evolution.
World War I was just devastating for Germany, and for its dogs. Thousands of dogs served on the front lines as mercy dogs, messengers, and guards. 10 of Stockmann's own beloved boxers were sent to the front. Only one ever made it back home.
After the war, Stockmann somehow managed to rebuild her kennel. And her absolute masterpiece was a dog named Listig von Dahm. He was everything she'd worked for. The pride of her kennel, she called him the sunshine of our home. But Germany was in turmoil, another war was on the horizon, and she was faced with a truly impossible choice. An American buyer offered a staggering 13,000 marks for Lustig. Now, Stockmann was barely scraping by on her farm. You can just feel the agony in her words. She agonized over what to do, even thinking about sending a different dog or trying to steal Lustig back. But in the end, she knew she couldn't. And let's be clear, this was not about greed. This was about pure survival. The money from selling Lustig, the dog she loved more than anything, was going to buy a car. A car was an essential tool she needed to keep her farm and the rest of her dogs from going under. But here's the truly gut-wrenching part of the story. Shortly after she finally bought the car, the Nazi government confiscated its battery and tires for the war effort. It was useless. Her immense personal sacrifice, in the end, it gained her almost nothing. But here's the incredible twist. Stockmann's personal tragedy became the American boxer's greatest triumph. The dogs she was forced to send across the ocean to survive, including Lustig, would become the foundation of an entirely new dynasty. You can literally draw a straight line. First, Stockmann perfects her Vom Damme line in Germany. Then, she's forced to export her best dogs, who become known as the Four Horsemen. American breeders then take her incredible vision and run with it, and the result? The birth of Bang Away. So these were the guys, the Four Horsemen of the American boxer world. It all started with Sigurd Vom Damme and his 3 grandsons, Dorian, Utz, and of course Lustig. They formed the absolute bedrock of the breed in America. And Lustig, Stockman's beloved sunshine, he went on to sire 41 American champions. Her legacy was set in stone.
Okay, so get this. Years later, after World War II, Stockman gets invited to judge a dog show in America. She's looking over a ring full of puppies, and she gets this powerful feeling of déjà vu. One little fawn puppy had the exact same presence, the same grand pose, the same graceful neck of the dog she had sold all those years ago. That puppy? It was none other than a young Bang Away. The story had come completely full circle. The type she had perfected, the dog she had lost and grieved for, was standing right there in front of her in the form of his great-grandson, the dog who would become the greatest American boxer of all time. But the boxer's story, it doesn't just end there in a show ring. Not at all. It's a living, breathing history with debates happening right now that connect all the way back to its origins as a working dog in Germany.
And one of the biggest debates is all about white markings. Take a look at this. The very first standard from 1904 in Munich says white is totally permissible. But then, by 1938, the American standard disqualifies dogs with more than 1/3 white. So, what happened?
Well, the most common theory, and it makes a ton of sense, points right back to World War I. When boxers were being used as military dogs, a mostly white dog was just too easy a target on a dark battlefield. A simple color preference suddenly became a major functional liability, and the standard changed because of it.
Which leaves us with a really fascinating question today, doesn't it? For a breed where every single feature was forged by function, whose very survival depended on the sacrifice of its greatest champions, how much should its future be decided by aesthetics, by color? It's a question that boxer fans, breeders, and owners are still debating right now.